Here's a collection of interview snippets from my longer interview with Steve Nalepa talking about how AI is used in his new music school, Futureproof. They have an AI bot who can check out your music. You can upload your music and you can get all kinds of commentary and feedback. You can also ask about how to do specific things, and Steve talks about that. And I hope you enjoyed this part of the interview.
Basically, one of the things that we're doing is we're building a community online. John Vaughn has created this AI called Kadence. It's basically a tutor slash assistant where you can actually upload your music to Kadence and it will listen and deconstruct and give you really helpful advice on it. We've
Wow.
just trained this tool basically with all of the manuals, all of the, it's just been trained on a very specific music and music technology sort of world, piggybacked on top of the engines that are out there already.
Right.
And it's pretty incredible. So it removes a lot of the overhead of like answering simple questions that you might have of, when people are new and they're getting started and like, oh, I only hear the recording on one side. Or well, you have the stereo thing and your mic is in the one.
Latency.
Easy stuff like that to more complex things of like thinking about your arrangement and your mixing and whatever. But it also helps like by guiding you through what you're trying to do. So a big part of what I always do when I work with students is like focusing on their intention and the intent of like, where are you trying to go with this? Like,
Beautiful. Yeah.
that's stuff that I've always been interested in. Like, where do ideas come from? It's one thing to like learn the technical chops of how you make the sound, or if you're making bass music, like dubstep and these other things, like there's this whole world of people that make stuff with serum and their sound design and the layers and the sub layer and this and that. Cause those songs are, it's a big kick and a snare and then this monster synth. And that's one part of it, but it's like, okay, what is your vision for your project? Like, where do you see it? So it's really kind of like the mentorship comes into, I've got these kids, they show a lot of potential. And so my role in this is kind of encourage them like, okay, think about where do you want to be in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, 3 months. Start making these short, medium, and long-term goals and working back. Like, what would it be for you, Dave, to be successful at your project? Okay, well, my success would be this. Okay, well, how do you get there? And then you start working backwards and get more and more granular till you have like daily to-do lists where you just got to check. Because when you're freelance or you're kind of like doing your own thing, it's unstructured and you have a certain requirement of discipline to like stick to it that you don't have that.
Right.
It's hard. So we've got our AI tool is kind of building a checklist for you and a program and a roadmap based on what you're telling it your goals are and the kind of music you like and what you're trying to do. And then that's augmented by the mentors who are coming in and kind of checking in with you and helping to, listen. A lot of it is just like listening to tracks and giving feedback and basically kind of co-producing in a way. And I always give the caveat whenever I'm teaching is like, look, at the end of the day, you're the artist and the sum of your choices is your art. But this is what I'm hearing, and I've been doing this a long time, and you don't have to take my advice. I just want you to think about this and consider this.
Yeah.
And if you decide like, hey, old man, like I know what's hip, like music with weak ass snares and shitty bass is like what it's all about. Sorry for the language. If you can say, hey, like, this is the hot new thing, like,
totally.
That's fine. Like, but I'm telling you, maybe you want your snares to hit harder and your bass to be a little fuller. But if you know better, I just want them to think about it and then make a confident decision. Because as you know, a lot of times they've just never thought like, oh, hey, the kick and the bass and the low end of the mic'd piano, they're all fighting down here in the lower frequencies. And if you roll off some of that stuff, and if you've never done that before, you might not have considered it. So
I mean, the low end thing, right? That's endless. It's like it can even really experience people. I find myself like it's counterintuitive to roll off the low end of a bass or the kick drum or something. And you're like, but wait a minute, that actually might make everything better. But it just feels like, why would I do that? It's a low end.
You're a drummer where it's especially relevant like when you're using a lot of microphones, right? Because you get the full frequency and it's really about what is the important part of this sound. And it might be in the mid-high range. You don't need any of this stuff. And but it's also like, so if you roll a little bit too much off, and then something's missing.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I have an old
Sure.
analog, like a 60 that's got noisy circuits, but like sometimes you clean it up and you're like, ooh, it's missing that magical vibe of that weird noise that was there.
Right.
You put it back, So yeah, the Cadence AI is good for, it's a 24/7 available. If you have any questions or you have a technical question or whatnot, or if you want recommendations for other music, it's just loaded with anything you can think of. And I really kind of challenged it of like, how do you make this, distorted bass sound from this Justice song or whatever? And it gave a pretty accurate, like, this is how you make it. And so there's that aspect to it. But one of the things that we're trying to do is like, for example, I've got a series of classes that I've designed and made called Creative Strategies. And I'm basically taking different artists and kind of what they do, but also like talking about their approaches and the significance of intent.
At this point in the interview, Steve and I explored a bunch of different tangents and then wound our way back into, is AI going to replace human creativity? I think that's a rich topic, and so I wanted to isolate this part of the interview. Here's Steve.
The arts are crucial, and there is a lot of the fear of, oh, AI is going to replace us, but it's like the whole point is the process of making it that matters. And even if you're prompting, like, that's a creative act, but like at the end of the day, you have to edit what it's doing. Like, no one's going to just make something and just like, oh, this is my album.
Here's my rant on AI. It's like, so I'm a drummer, right? Like, drum machines were invented. And I was told, oh, forget drumming. There's drum machines. You're never going to. And it's like, okay. And it's true that drum machines did replace some drummers. And yet it's also true that new music genres and new things were born from drum machines. And then it's like AI, we're Ableton fans, right? And there's all this like auto generative MIDI stuff and whatever. So like AI has been around in some weird form or another, which I'm loosely calling that not really AI, but it's like we've been using
The random button, like it's like, hey, hitting the random button, like it's fine.
Yeah,
computer part of the process,
right? And so my thing is like and I have friends making AI music and are experimenting with stuff. I've experimented a little and tried things, but I think like it's a little bit like if I could make a robot go golfing for you, how much fun would that be? I don't need, like, I want to sit at the piano and I want to feel things. AI can't do that for me. So that's the fun part to me. I don't want AI to do that. Now, if AI can make my taxes easier to understand for a layman, non-accountant, that would be great. We get a little crazy about this stuff. And I think, yeah, absolutely AI will be used to make musical wallpaper all over and elevated music and things like that. And that'll happen. But I think, there's an artistic experience that it can't replace. Let's take pop music out of this for a second. Music came from like people sitting playing their banjo on their knee, on their porch. And it's like, it's a part of culture. It's a part of our humanity. And so just make music. Your life will be richer by making music. It doesn't matter if you're a pop star, like all of us started from like when you're like your daughter. She's not thinking about making money with music or something, or she's
she's writing a song about a thing.
A dog. I got this dog. I love to celebrate this dog. Right.
Yeah. But then it's got this like, it's punk energy chorus. Squirrel, squirrel. Which I just, and she gets everyone to sing along. It's like,
I'm not saying she won't make commercial success, Steve. She might be huge, but I'm just saying her desire is like to be in the music, put the headphones on and sing it 20 times. That's the joy. And I just don't think AI does that. I'm sorry. I think, AI will do other things, but I think music
is just a tool. It's like if you have a drum machine or a synth or anything, it can do all of it. But like the concern of like, oh, it's going to replace like some of the work for people that make money doing music for commercials. Like if you need a music cue for a Target commercial that needs to sound like this, like, yeah, you can probably prompt it into existence and not have to pay 20, 30 grand to like the bigger artist or whatever. You just do it for your $25 Suno subscription or whatever. So like, but the pop star thing, even like those people are connecting to the people. You know, whether
Yeah,
or not they wrote
exactly.
the songs, they're still performing the
Well,
songs.
and I'll take you
You know,
back to sync music example. Here's the thing. I know that world a bit, and it's like you get the piece of music from the prompt, but then you need the stems, and then you need a remix, and then you need it to like, can you now make it sound like this, or change the key, or can you have it a man? And so like all that stuff takes people. It's on a deadline like this, and if you want to wait for the random prompt to, and I'm sure the stuff gets better, but I just think it's a long time till it's replacing the interaction that a director wants with a film composer
yeah.
or whatever. I think, like that's a collaborative process. And how many movies we know have been the musician or the composer has affected the direction of the film, right? Like,
Yeah.
and like CGI, right? We know there's CGI actors, but like we don't want to really watch that many CGI actors. We're not like, okay, it's okay in a fight scene and it's okay in a certain thing, but we're not like, oh, I can't wait to watch the CGI love story between these two people. It needs to feel something. I need to feel it, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I went on tour like was it two falls ago with Little Sims, and well, the guy who was the front of house for that, he was the front of house for Hologram Tupac show. Like he basically worked on, and he was working with the Tupac
yeah,
estate,
right.
and there was a whole tour that they had planned with Hologram Tupac, and they canceled it because no one wanted to go and see Hologram Tupac. It worked at Coachella with Dr. Dre, but then the idea of going to a show and watching a hologram show as a
Right.
concert just didn't really fly. So I don't,
Right.
and to what you were saying about the film, the collaborative process in the film, I got to see Denis Villeneuve talking about making Dune and Dune 2. I went to a screening of Dune 2 and he had his composer there. He had the guy who did
Right.
music with him and his other guy. There was three of them there. And that process was very much like they wrote the music before they even shot a lot of the scenes. Like they
Yeah.
were very connected together. And like
Totally, man.
seeing people like that,
Yeah.
yes, they're using these tools, and there's a very strict regimented thing when you have to shoot these kind of like complicated, CGI assisted shots or whatever.
Yeah.
If your sandworm is supposed to go here and your
Right.
spaceship is landing here, like you don't have a lot of play with like, oh, I'm going to pan this way. No, it has to be exactly this shot, or else all the computer animation you just made isn't going to fit.
Right.
Yeah, so there was room for improv, like you said, with No Country for Old Men, Javier. He was improving some of his lines again to like really get into character, whatever. And that was like the extent of the room that they had. The play would go sometimes with dialogue, but with most of those like bigger effect shots, they had to. So I don't know, man. I don't see the storytelling getting replaced. I think there's going to be another avenue of like people are making cool shit and they're, some things are going to go away. Like the idea of like painting individual storyboard shots or whatever. Like they made Star Wars with like the painting, the background scenes, like by hand. Like that stuff's not going to happen, but
Yeah.
there's still a place for storytelling. There's still a place for people want that human emotional connection.
I mean, here's a concept I play around with a lot is that, why do we go to shows? We have the DVD, we have YouTube, we can see all these. I can go see Blood Orange probably on YouTube, right? But why do I go to a concert? It's like, I want that experience, but I also think there's a little bit of like in the back of our mind, I want to see the magic made in front of me. I want to see, is that person, they might even fail. Like they're walking on the tightrope. Why do we watch a tightrope artist in a circus? It's like, oh, they might fall, but they won't. They've done it and they got a net and it's all, but there's a little hint of us. Like when I went and saw Tyler, the Creator with my son, like a 90-minute show with a bazillion ideas and things. And it was like, there's a little bit of like, is he going to make it? Is he still going to, there's a little bit of like you're watching in awe as this spectacle's in front of you. And I just think if it's CGI or it's automated or you know what you're going to get, you'd stay home and watch the DVD, which is fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood Orange, we toured opening for Tyler. Like,
did you?
Back in 2019, we did a run around North America opening for him. And the first day we showed up, all there was someone else who had been opening for a few shows, and then we were now the support. And he came right up to all the new people. He's like, "Hi, I'm Tyler. Welcome to my tour." There was no like, "Don't look at me, don't interact with me," whatever. It was very much like, "Hi, this is my tour. Welcome. I'm Tyler." He was very nice and very like straight up with everybody. It was awesome. It was like, that's how I appreciated, like, this is like, I just love what he's all about. You know, I mean, he's really gotten him and Dev are real close, and like, you know, he's you parlayed his stuff in the fashion, but he does put on a captivating show. He's like really entertaining and like very creative, and he writes all his own music, and it's powerful to see. But it's like that's not, you know, that's not going to get replaced. It's kind of goes back to like music started out as a live music experience, and then we had player pianos and the gramophone record recording industry, and then it went to listening. But now it's kind of going back to like live. You want to go and sing all these songs with 10,000 of your closest friends or 500 of your closest friends or whatever. You know, it's kind of come full circle in a way. And I still love the recording part of it too. Like that is you know, it's exploratory. But it is, you know, I don't know. There's solutions to all of it, but I think at the end of the day, there's a reward. It's the journey is the destination. There was that book that kid read, but it is true. It's like you know, if you're like only going to be happy when you get to the destination, you know, you might become famous and then you can't walk down the street without getting bothered. And it's like you're going to long for those days when no one knew who you were and you were just starting. You know, it's like you have to enjoy every step of it and not be like longing for something that you don't have. Like just be present. But it is important to like write the to-do lists and check them off and like to have your goals. Like goals are everything. And I got to take my own advice. Like it's funny. It's always easy to dish it out to everybody else, but then you got to like hold yourself accountable.
That's why teaching's good, right? It keeps us honest because then we got to go do it. That felt like a good place to end this interview. As my mom used to say, we teach what we need to learn. And I think Steve and I are big fans of that saying. And we're learning all the time and talking about the things we're learning because we're trying to integrate them further into our own wisdom and our habits, right? So hope this was enjoyable. See you in the next video and take good care.